Good evening, everyone. I am Amanda Taffy on behalf of the Microbiological Society, the Postgraduate Association of the Department of Microbiology, St. Joseph's College Autonomous Bangalore, welcome you all to this talk on crafting your career by Dr. Smita Jain. Let us begin this talk by invoking God's grace with a silent prayer. Thank you. I would now like to call upon Dr. Beatrice Sequeira, Head of the Department, to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening to one and all present here for the lecture on crafting your careers, conducted by the Microbiological Society, a postgraduate association of the Department of Microbiology, St. Joseph's College Autonomous, Bengaluru. It's a privilege for me on behalf of the staff and students of the Department of Microbiology to cordially welcome our chief guest, Dr. Smita Jain from India Bioscience. We deeply appreciate and are indeed grateful to you for accepting our invitation and your presence here. A very warm welcome, ma'am. With joy, we welcome our rector, Father Dr. Swiber De Silva, SJ. We are blessed and fortunate to have amongst us the man who doesn't need any introduction and known for his wisdom, knowledge, and encouragement, our principal, Father Dr. Victor Lobo, SJ. A hearty welcome, Father. We like to extend a special welcome to our registrar, Dr. Melvin Colasso, Dr. Rabai, the Vice Principal of the Postgraduate Section, and Dr. Jyoti William, Vice Principal, Science Section. My warmest greetings to my colleagues in the Department of Microbiology for sparing a few hours of the valuable time to come and participate in this lecture. I'm really indebted to them. Had it not been for their cooperation, today's lecture would not have been possible. I, on behalf of the organization, welcome them. A hearty welcome to my dear students and staff from other departments. I welcome and thank you for participating in this lecture. As you listen to the lecture on crafting your careers, you will need to make sense of the world. When sense and reason go missing, you will need to help solve problems through innovation and invention. And you will need to help turn indifference into motivation and helpful action. I quote, "Don't compare your life to others. There's no comparison between the sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time." Once again, a warm welcome to all. And I thank each one of you for participating in this lecture. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the warm welcome. I would now like to call upon Dr. Rabai, Vice Principal of Postgraduate Section, to address the gathering.
Hello. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you all for inviting me for being part of your program. And I would like to also congratulate the microbiology department for organizing such a program, which is very rare to see, especially with respect to the career prospects of their students. Beatrice ma'am and Poppy, you deserve a lot of appreciation from all of us for organizing this program. And I would like to welcome Dr. Smita Jain to St. Joseph's College, because it will be an eye-opener for many of our students about how to craft their career, especially in the field of biology, biological sciences. I am actually a wrong person to be here because I am far from biology. I am a person who has given up biology after 10th standard. So after that, biology and even chemistry is something which I don't relish that much. But let me just tell you a few things from my own life. Maybe it might be of use to you. When I was a student, about 35 years back, maybe after 12th standard, we had only 4 or 5 options for our career, either becoming an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer, or maybe go into sciences, pure sciences, or maybe humanities. Maybe 5 options we had. Whereas you people enjoy more options and more prospects in your life. And we will require people who are experts in guiding you into making your choice, correct choice, like Dr. Smita here, to guide you through this journey of finding your own calling. When I took up this job, I was only sure about three things. What is my passion? What am I passionate about? What am I good at? And maybe what will pay me? Okay, so only three choices I had. So the job I chose as a teacher in St. Joseph's College basically is the result of these three aspects. So for example, what I was passionate about, I was very clear from younger classes, but that I always wanted to become a physicist. So I decided to even give up engineering for the sake of being a physicist. Okay, and I'm fairly okay in physics, so I think I'm confident to say that I'm good at physics, and it also fetches me a job income. So that is how I grabbed this job of being a teacher in St. Joseph's College. So you will be guided in a much better way by Dr. Smita. So I will not speak anything more about career prospects. So welcome, Smita ma'am, and thank you all for inviting me here.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. I would now hand over the platform to Ms. Riya Saha, Assistant Professor, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Amanda. A very good evening to one and all who has joined us for this event. It is my privilege to introduce our guest for this evening, Dr. Smita Jain. Dr. Smita is the Executive Director of India Bioscience, my apologies, an organization that attempts to serve as a bridge connecting researchers, educators, science communicators, and policymakers, and promotes a positive change in the life science ecosystem in India. Dr. Jain holds a PhD in cancer biology from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Ma'am realized in time that research was not her calling. So she briefly explored a career in industry and eventually found her true calling in the field of scientific management. She served as Business Development Manager at the Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms and played an instrumental role in establishing their business and processes. Ma'am has a vast experience in science administration and management, communication, business development, and project management. Currently at India Bioscience, Dr. Smita is dedicating all her efforts to bringing the organization's goals to fruition. Ma'am also has many accolades to her credit. Just to name a few, Ma'am is the recipient of IRMI Research Management Grant of India Alliance. She is nominated member of the review group for the programs and activities of National Council for Science and Technology Communication, DST, Government of India. She is also an invited member of the committee set up by DST, Government of Rajasthan, for the welfare of women in science. I extend a very warm welcome and a heartfelt gratitude to Ma'am for joining us today on behalf of all of us. Without further ado, I invite her to take over the platform and take us through her talk. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Riya. Can I share my screen?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. So my screen is visible, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible in full screen.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you each one of you who are here with me in this evening today. I hope the discussion would be useful for all the students who have joined. And first of all, I would like to thank St. Joseph's Autonomous College, Bangalore, for this invitation and an opportunity to interact with the students about their career. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure interacting with Poppy over last few weeks. Thanks very much. So let me get started. I guess I'm going to keep it very informal. I do not want to make it a very, very formal talk. And I would be happy to take questions at the end of it. So I thought I would just convey that I have divided this talk into 5 broader sections. One, to understand why is it important to know more about careers, which I would also integrate with my own journey. And then there are certain key tools that are needed to craft one's career. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about the diverse opportunities that exist for any life science graduate. And then towards the end, I would just talk about India Bioscience and what we have to offer to the students community. Okay, so before we delve into the actual topic, let me tell you something, very, very basic, which each one of you must understand, that career is not just a just like job. There is a difference between career and a job. Career is an individual's really long-term professional journey, which entails a lot of learning, which entails work, lot of hard work and passion, which is very, very important. As Ravi sir mentioned in his opening remarks, that passion is what would make it a successful journey. Whereas a job is something that you basically take up in order to earn money, because at the end of it, each one of us really require money, which in turn supports all our basic needs. So that is the key difference between having a career and a job. A successful career also provides you a lot of motivation throughout, and definitely happiness, because that's something that you want to do from the bottom of your heart. And let me also tell you, career journey is actually like a long distance marathon race. It's not a short sprinter. It's not a short sprint that gets over very quickly. It's so you have to really, really prepare hard in order to have a successful career. Okay. Now, as we all have certain thought process, certain idea about our careers, about the career progression. And the way it's being projected throughout has been that it's a successive growth path, that you continue growing up. And for a life science student studying, any topic, let's say for you all microbiology or biochemistry or zoology or chemistry, physics, when we are doing BSc, MSc, we think that PhD is the next step, postdoc would come after that, and then you would become a faculty. Either you would be teaching or you become a researcher. But this is something that we think, but in reality, in today's world, in times that are changing really, really fast, is this true? Is a question that we must ask. Or in reality, what does a career progression actually looks like? It might be just this jigsaw kind of structure where one stair leads to another, comes down. So there are also a possibility that multiple paths are intertwined, or it's a possibility that the path that you decide to take, there's no end to it. These are all open ladders. It might be a bit confusing, or it might be a bit daunting for you to see these pictures, but I'm sure as we go along and as more introspection happens, you would find which ladder fits you the best. And when is also very, very important. Okay. Now, another very critical thing to remember is that your career is your responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility. It should be that you as an individual are responsible for crafting this career path that you wish to take. So this is something very important. Moving on, I guess, as I was saying, there's a lot of self-contemplation that gets into while we are preparing for our career journey. And it's very, very important that we understand that why are we taking any path that we want to take. Very important, because this why is something that would give you the purpose. That what is the purpose? Let's say if someone's really interested in teaching and the person gets the sheer joy of teaching or delivering a lecture or a concept to their students, and make them responsible citizens. That becomes the purpose of that educator, and that's the reason why this educator wants to be in the classroom every single morning. Now, in order to achieve this why, it's also very important that each one of you must take care that how do you how do you how do you reach this why, and what do you do so that it helps you to reach this why. So the process of this journey and what do you do so that you reach your destination again has to be really thought carefully and with a lot of self contemplation. Here I guess I would just take a little shift and I'll talk about my own journey, that what has been my journey. I started from a place called Banaras. This is in UP. I always was very, very interested in biology. So with my dad, who's also a biologist, I started learning about various different things in biology from a very early age, and definitely with a lot of passion and a lot of hard work, I kind of initiated this journey, and learned science at home, at school, then moved on to do my undergrad at Banaras Hindu University. I took botany, zoology, chemistry. And this is where, let me tell you a very interesting incident. I was a topper in this school, and marks are always associated with certain things in our society, which according to me is not the right way to assess, but that's how it is. So I was asked to write the medical exam, which I was completely against, and I refused to even fill the form. My teachers were very upset. My dad was called in, and it was very clear to him as well that if I, as an individual, cannot enjoy the hospital environment, I can never be a successful doctor. So luckily, that path got off my way. I went on to do undergrad at BHU, then moved on to Baroda to do my postgrad in the biotechnology field. And that's when I was very clear that I will do my PhD from IIC. I was very clear. So I came to IIC, did my PhD in the field of cancer biology. And again at this juncture, there was a crossroad because most of my colleagues were going for postdoc abroad. And I, as an individual, was not sure if I really want to continue in the field of research. And that's when I decided to take a call. And what that call was, I guess I'll come to the next slide. But before that, I would tell that at each of these steps that I had taken up, there were a lot of learnings. Maybe at that point, when I was a student like you, I didn't realize that what are the key skills that I'm learning at each step. The logical thinking that was taught at school, at home, hard work, motivation that was instilled by our teachers in the undergrad course, the ability to work in a team, ability to multitask because the course was extremely, extremely rigorous in Baroda, ability to make decisions because teachers would leave many decisions on us, was something I learned at Baroda. And then definitely during PhD, learned a lot of courage, learned to be resilient because every second experiment would fail many a time. So you really have to have lots and lots of patience. I learned to think critically and definitely manage time because as students, you want to do 100 different things. And if you want to do 100 different things, at that point, at times your guide, your parents feel that you are not doing the right thing, but then you really learn to manage your time well. So with those skills that were learned during this part of the journey, I moved on. And at that point, I'm sure this question would come to all of you as well, or would have already come, that what's your plan? So I was asked this question, what's my plan? And I was not sure whether I go this way, that way, another way. Should I go for a postdoc? Should I join an industry? Should I join a postdoc in India? Multiple questions were there. So I did some bit of thinking, aligned myself, and moved on without giving up at that point. So I joined industry. in Bangalore itself, worked there for about 3 years, and then took a break due to personal reasons. I had my second baby, and that's when, somewhere in 2009, I joined CCAM as their business development and project management person in a managerial role. And that's where I really realized where my true calling lies. I realized that I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy, learning new things on a daily basis. I enjoy more of management. And with my scientific understanding, that combination worked really beautiful. So I served CCAM for about 5 years. And in 2016, I joined India Bioscience in a leadership role. And then completely moved into science administration and management. Now, again, if you will look at my trajectory, there've been a lot of moves. I kind of switched gears multiple times. But let me tell you something that, instead of taking it as a negative way of progressing in a career, I felt that at each step, I learned a lot. So in the industry, I learned professionalism. I learned how to organize things, because there you just cannot do away with these processes, with putting your data together, with, make entry of that data, and everything is so very well organized. At CCamp, I learned again to make more decisions, more, critical decisions, learned to manage, and started to develop my network across the country. And definitely at India Bioscience, I am in the process of learning key skills in leadership. So this has been my journey. So before we move on to career planning, do you think that I kind of knew what it takes to plan a career? Let me be very honest here. I didn't. I was not sure that these are the steps that one should take. I was just going with my instinct. But after that experience, I guess when I now look back, I could put my thoughts together. And now what I'm going to talk about, the career planning, is something that has come post this journey. Though I was still taking many decisions based on this, but this was not very intuitive to me. This was coming more from within, but not through any textbook learning. So, moving on, what it takes to plan a career which gives you happiness, a career that's successful. The first and foremost is to know yourself. I'll go at each step. And when I say know yourself, what I mean, it's to basically know what skill sets you have, what are your interests, what are your values. Skills are nothing but things that you are really good at and you love doing it. Interest is something that gives you motivation to do that. And values is again something that gives you the purpose to do whatever you are doing. So it's really, really important for each one of you to spend really good amount of time in order to understand yourself. There are large number of handouts, programs, websites out there that would help you do this assessment, that what is your personality type, what are your skills, what are your interests, what are your values. And based on that, then you start exploring your career options. Because why I say it, let's say you are a type who wants to or who loves to be with yourself. You are not a very outgoing person, but you end up in a job that requires a lot of traveling, that requires a lot of meeting with new people every day. I'm sure you're not going to like uh, that kind of an opportunity. So it's extremely important to know yourself, and then you start exploring options. And how do you explore options is another really, really important way. Online research is something all of us know. We all have our gadgets in hand that can help us do this search. Uh, Another very critical and important tool to explore options is, let's say you have narrowed down few career paths that you think you may be interested in. Then what do? You pinpoint certain people who have already carved their niche in that path and fix up an interview with them. There are multiple ways. Again, there is large number of resources available on informational interviews. I'm not going to get into the details of, conducting an informational interview. All I can say is that find the right person or right people in that career path, fix an appointment, and talk to them in order to understand that particular field, in order to understand their typical day, the skills that are needed to get into that role, and things like that. You're not looking for a specific job from that person. All you're trying to understand is the career opportunity in that path. And this would give you really, really valuable information about that path and help you decide whether you want to go that way or not. The other is definitely internships and volunteering activities, because they again give you inside information about the career path. I completely understand that under the current circumstances and even otherwise, getting an internship opportunity is not something which is very easy. It's a difficult and a daunting task. Nevertheless, one should always try and get into an internship so that you can gain that practical knowledge and more insightful information about that career path. Okay, moving on. So once you've known yourself, once you have explored your options, you make decisions and you try to make the right decision. Why I've put right in quotes is because that decision might be right when you're taking it. A little later down the line, it's also possible that that right decision is no longer right. Okay, so never see that it's the best decision. Maybe you thought that, okay, like for me, I thought that moving into industry is the right decision post my PhD. But 3 years down the line, I realized that no, I do not want to be in the wet lab setup any longer. And I switched gears. So that's precisely why I've put make the right decision, so that you cross whatever is required and reach where you want to. Okay, now you become career ready. And what I mean by that, this is again a very critical step, and there are a lot of different factors that help you become career ready. And why is it important? Let me tell you. It's a very, very competitive world out there. The numbers are more. I'm not saying this to discourage any one of you here. Let me put this disclaimer here. But the reality is that the moment you step out of your, alma mater, your institution, your college, you are exposed to a really large, bigger world, which you do not have much information about. And then there are large number of other people who are competing for similar resources that you as well. So how would you distinguish yourself from the rest of the world? And these are certain ways that each one of you must keep in mind, which would help you navigate this path much more smoothly. Build your network. I guess no one can say that building a network is not important. What I mean by building a network is you need to connect with people very early on. Again, as a student, this was never told to me. I hardly knew people. Only after my PhD and the first job stint that I started to know and started to establish my relationships and my connects in the entire life science ecosystem. So any person you meet in any professional setting, connect with this person and keep that connection going. It's extremely important. Even if you are an introvert who doesn't want to go out and speak, please make efforts to take that extra step and connect with people in order to know much more, much wider about this much wider network that exists out there. That's important. Second point, work on your CV and resume. You cannot send out the same CV or the same resume to n number of people applying for n number of different kinds of jobs that require very different skill sets. So it's extremely important. There are, again, large number of resources available which would help you craft your CV really well. So please, please spend good amount of time working on your CV and showcasing what skill sets you have that would help the employer, take benefit of, and that's why they would hire you. Third point, take any interview extremely seriously. Never go unprepared. Do thorough research about the organization, about the company, about the field where you are going, and be professional in any interview. Fourth point, learn the art of giving an elevator pitch. And what I mean by elevator pitch, I guess this picture is very self-explanatory. It's a pitch that you give to another person when you meet this person in an elevator. So you have 10-15 seconds to talk about yourself, to tell this person who you are, what you do, why you do, and what you want to do. So it's something that you really need to practice. It would vary depending upon the setting. Any interview you go, they will first ask you, okay, talk about yourself. Tell us about yourself. And you can't take 5 long minutes to talk about yourself. You have to be really quick. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, you have to talk about your life history. So this is a pitch that really makes a difference, and one must practice it and have it ready. And then fifth, last not the least, have mentors. They can be anyone, your family, your friends, your teachers, principal, anyone outside your institution, but have mentors, people who would help you navigate your career, who would give you the right advice when you need it, who would help you grow, not pull you down. So these are certain things which are extremely, extremely important in order to become career ready. I have spoken about this in a minute. I would request each one of you to spend really good amount of time reading on internet about each one of this and see what works best for you. Okay, when I'm talking about career skills, I guess this is again very, very important. With the changing world, when things are changing so rapidly, there are certain things which are still a constant. And these are certain skill sets that you would require in any career path that you go. Your ability to deal with people, your ability to organize things, various different kinds of things, regardless of the path that you take. Your ability to communicate your ideas, your thoughts to the other person, either orally or in written format. Your ability to negotiate what you want to get done. Your ability to be a learner, a lifelong learner, because that's what is really appreciated in today's industry. Your ability to give attention to each detail that's there, your ability to manage time, your ability to multitask. These are certain skills that each one of us must nurture if we want to stay ahead in this marathon. So I've just again listed it out here. When you go back, do this homework that actually whether you have these skills. I'm sure each one of you have these skills. If not, how can you develop it further? What are the things that you have done which showcases that you have these skills? These are certain things which are very, very important to introspect. Okay, having spoken about all that, I guess this is a thought. It's a pretty large amount of text in one slide, but I guess I'll just read something very critical here. With the qualities that you earned during your formative years, that's today for all of you, you can branch out in a variety of fields so long as you're willing to apply your knowledge and skills in the right way. So remember the initial slide when I said that most of us think that it's one linear path up there. It's actually not true. With these skills that we acquire during our formative years, and if we apply them correctly, we can branch out into multiple different career paths, including the traditional ones that we all are aware of. So here I would just tell you, this is a page view from the book Disha that we launched earlier this year at India Bioscience. there are, large number of career paths that's available for any life science graduate, honestly speaking. There are academic careers, there are non-academic careers. Under academic careers, you can either get into research, you can become an educator, faculty in college, universities, or research institutions. Either you can move into industry in an R&D role as a product management, QA, QC manager, or an HR manager. If you really enjoy, meeting and dealing with people, you can get into technical sales and marketing. You can get into writing if you have a flair for writing, or you can, start your own consultancy, business development, and multiple other roles. Entrepreneurship, I'm sure you all are very well aware of, especially in today's world. Government is giving a lot of push to it. There are a large number of competitions that are happening for students as well. You have funding available from government. So if you have a bright idea that you think you can take it to the market, please go for it. Just that you need to have that adventurous heart to get into the field of bioentrepreneurship. You can get into IPR, technology transfer, you can become a regulatory manager. Science communication and public outreach is another, field which is being sought after. Science management administration, multiple roles have opened up in institutions now. You can get into science public policy, or again, some specialized services. Again, as I said in the past, I would not delve deeper into each one of these roles because a lot is available out there. You can download this book for free from our website. Else, I can share the link for Disha with all of you, and you can read about each of these career paths in detail, the skill sets that are needed for these career paths, the opportunities that exist, the institutions that exist. So there is a lot of information that you would get once you start reading this book or any other information on the internet. Okay, so with that, I guess I would say that, moving into any unknown path really takes a lot of courage. But if you have done your homework well, if you have followed all the steps that I mentioned in the beginning uh, religiously, I would say, honestly, and with really hard work, I am sure that you would not worry about getting into any unknown path for that matter. And that will help you unlock the lock towards the path to success and happiness. So this was the gist of, the career part of the talk. And now what are the key takeaways? Be clear of what you do not want, even if you do not know what you want. And this is something I say out of my personal learnings. As I was mentioning in my talk earlier, at the end of my school, at the end of my PhD, I was clear what I do not want. I didn't want to get into medicine. I didn't want to go for a postdoc, but I was not sure what I want. But it's completely okay. As long as you are clear about paths that you do not want to get in, you can always explore other paths, and learn from them. And I'm sure if you're focused, you will find your goals eventually. Also remember that degree in science is an extremely powerful tool that opens up multiple avenues. Remember the skill sets I was mentioning that I learned at each of those steps during my formative years. Those are the skill sets that are coming handy now in today's, career journey. So please be aware of the skills that you are learning in this journey. Whenever we have asked students during our in-person sessions, I'm feeling really sad that today I'm talking to this screen. I can't see the faces of any of the students out there, but many a time students say that, when asked what skill sets they have, and they say we can pipette. Pipetting is a technical skill set, agree, but then each one of you have got multiple other skill sets, which is what the industry or eventually any career path would look for. There would be multiple crossroads. Remember, multiple crossroads that would come in your career journey. Even if you've done a lot of thinking, a lot of homework, a lot of research in deciding on a path, there would be times when these crossroads would come and you would wonder whether I took the right decision, whether this is correct for me, whether I am fit for this. But my suggestion is that rather than getting disheartened, one really needs to think, then align yourself and move forward, regardless of what others have to say. As I said in the beginning, planning a career is your responsibility, not anyone else's. You can always talk to your teachers, your educators, your mentors, your family, but the decision at the end of it should be yours. So be decisive and be courageous to take risks. Do not be afraid. Okay, so here I guess I'm going to switch gears and I would talk about a little bit about India Bioscience, who we are and what we do and how can our resources be of help to any one of you. Okay, so just a very quick brief history of India Bioscience. This is something started as a concept over dinner conversation. So another learning lesson here is that never be shy of these different kinds of conversations that happen, at times very randomly. You never know which idea strikes and how big it can grow. So India Bioscience discussion started over a dinner conversation way back in 2009. And I guess a couple of folks were discussing about a platform where early career and early researchers can interact and can get mentored. And that's where few folks came together. They decided to start a meeting, which is more of a networking and mentoring meeting. And then India Bioscience came into existence. First few years, it was, again, community-driven effort. Only in 2013 that it got its first major funding from Department of Biotechnology, and it started to grow. And currently, there are 5 mandates of India Bioscience, namely networking, wherein we provide networking of life science professionals. That includes educators, that includes researchers, that includes students community. We are helping people connect with each other. So that's networking. We do a lot of science communication through our website, which is www.indiabioscience.org. We promote a lot of skill development, basically development of science careers. And this talk and another workshop that we have developed is part of the skill development program. We also have an education vertical wherein we are trying to bridge the gap that exists between the educators in the life science with the research community. And we have a data and policy vertical as well. So as I said, this is the website which keeps changing. It's just that the top and the right remains the same, but all this content, all this content changes at least twice to thrice in a week because a new story, a new news article, opinion piece, or a new resource goes up on the website almost every second or third day. So if you have not visited our website, I really request all of you to visit our website. And at the bottom, there is a way to subscribe for our newsletter. Again, it's all free. So please subscribe to the newsletter so that you can continue getting regular updates from us. And why I say, these regular updates are important is in this particular slide. There are various different ways to engage with us. Now, if you want to discover various career paths that are available, you just download this book, Disha. It's, as I said earlier, it's there for free download. This is a very, very comprehensive book that talks about different career paths. If you want to learn more about individual journeys in different career paths, starting from, let's say, science communication to science illustration, business development, sales and marketing, go for our podcast series. We have already put out 16 different podcasts in the career series. So I'm sure you would find it very, very useful. If you want to share your experience, we really love to hear from our community. And if you want to share an experience which which would be very valuable for the rest of the community, and if you think you are a good writer, you can, put the story in a very interesting and an engaging manner, please do write to us. There are large number of other resources, starting from women in science to mental health related resources, ethics related resources, which are again very, very important avenues, areas that each one of us must be aware of. Each one of us must respect each, these various different things. So we put out large number of articles, resources around these topics. There are various different ways to participate in our programs, either through Crafting Your Career online series or a specific skill building series. So do keep a watch on the announcements that we make at regular intervals. And this would come to your inbox if you subscribe to the newsletter. We also run regularly our webinar series, which would help you understand the diverse life science ecosystem that exists in India. So this one poster really helps summarize what are the different ways to engage with us. As I said, resources, these 2 books are there, but we also have really large number of video talks that we have recorded, by who's and who in the life science ecosystem, about their career journeys and about that particular career path. And we have put it out on our YouTube channel and also on the website. So any career resource you want to go and view, it's available for anyone. As I was mentioning, these are the podcast recordings, podcast that's there on the website. Please make use of it. These would really help you understand multiple career opportunities, how someone manages core facilities, how someone manages business development or project management or technical marketing, science policy. It's endless. So please do listen to these podcasts as well. So with that, I guess I would end with this very favorite quote of mine, that after listening to all that, my suggestion is just go home, do a lot of introspection. It's not that everything will happen in one day or overnight. It's a long process, but have a separate notebook. My suggestion would be that really have a separate notebook where you start penning down your thoughts, which would help you pick a field that would give you happiness in long run. So this quote of Barbara McClintock is very, very interesting, and something I say in every other talk that I give, that I was just so interested in what I was doing. I could hardly wait to get up in the morning and get at it. One of my friends, a geneticist, said I was a child because only children can't wait to get up in the morning to get at what they want to do. And I'm sure you all would agree. For me, getting up at any time today to do anything related with India Bioscience, I don't have an issue because I love what I'm doing. It gives me happiness at the end of it. So, pick up a field that would help you get that happiness. And again, another quote by a role model of mine, APJ Abdul Kalam, that climbing to the top demands strength, whether it is to the top of the Mount Everest, or to the top of your career. So anything would require strength, and strength means a lot of hard work has to get into it in order to develop that strength. So with that, I would like to extend thank you for all the patient hearing. And if you want to reach out to me, please feel free to write an email at smita@indiabioscience.org. And I'm also active on Twitter, and this is my Twitter handle. So with that, thank you very much. Over to you, Poppy.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank you profusely for that wonderful and informative talk. And I mean, I personally liked how you captured the confusions, the thoughts that go around in a student's mind. I mean, I could relate to some of them when I was a student, and some of the ones which come up, some students come up and ask the dilemma that they have. What should we do? How do we go about? And it's a very crucial and I would say a very excruciating phase for them because they really don't know how to get to it. So I'm
Exactly.
sure that listening to you is very reassuring, I would say, even to me personally, and I'm sure to the students, very reassuring. And they were not, being judged or put at the point that what you really want to do, but rather than showing them
Exactly.
a guide map, how to really get to where they want to. So thank you so much. And on behalf of everybody and all the students and participants, I really want to thank you for that. With that, I
Thank
would
you.
open the floor for questions. So I would request the participants, you could unmute yourself and ask the question directly to ma'am. And I'm sure she would be happy to answer you.
Um, can I just start with a question so that the students becomes more free to ask question because I don't see anybody unmuting themselves. I have two questions now. And the first question is how difficult it is for a science graduate to go into fields such as human resource and technical sales and so on. Because we are not trained, right? Because nowadays we have masters in human resource and organizational development. So how difficult it is for a science graduate to go directly into that field?
See, I'll tell you, as I said, the science courses, the courses in any science field for that matter, are very rigorous in their own ways. And, if someone's very thoughtful about them, they are teaching you a lot of different things. They are teaching you, as I've already mentioned, multiple skill sets that they are teaching. And if someone projects these skill sets rightly to the employer who's looking for, let's say, a technical salesperson, the company would be more than happy to take this person. It's not difficult. In fact, most of the scientific sales and marketing driven companies look for science graduates because these graduates also understand the basics of science. It's not that they only look for people who understand numbers and can get them business. They also look for people who understand science, who can go and talk to the potential buyers in a language that even the potential buyers can connect. And who are these potential buyers? They are nothing but, let's say, researchers or educators. And they also prefer to talk to people who are science graduates, who understand the science uh, for which that particular product or service is being sold. So it's just that one has to project in the right manner. One has to project the skill sets that, as a student, one should be able to communicate that, well, this is how I negotiated and got this money for, let's say, a fest in the college. This is what I did in this manner. So demonstrate with very clear statements which show a purpose and how you could fulfill that and achieve the goal. So I hope I'm making sense here.
It's a continuation of what you just said, ma'am. So many students, they do not recognize their particular skill set, right? They might be good in communication or they might have certain leadership quality, but they fail to recognize it. And during the initial years, when they go out from the college or from an institute, they find it little difficult to, get a job or into something. So how do they recognize this skill set? How do they develop this skill set?
I guess I would say that most of us have these skill sets, many of these skill sets, not if not all. Most of us, let's say there are in a class of 40, there are 10 who can really speak well, right? In a class of 40, there are 5 who can write their answers really, really well. And as an educator, also as their teacher, I guess sometimes I feel it's also the responsibility of the teachers that they convey that look, you're really good in writing. You can convey your thoughts effectively. It makes sense. And that would also give these students uh, confidence that, well, that's their, they are good in that particular skill set. So it has to be a mutually driven conversation that would help them recognize what skill sets they have. The the issue I feel is that we never pay emphasis. Our entire education system doesn't pay emphasis to the skill sets that students have. We are only assessing our students based on the coursework that is taught in the class, and that's how they are evaluated. And it's true across. It doesn't let students assess for themselves that what skill sets they have. But with the changing scenario, with the kind of world we are leading in, and I really feel, especially after this pandemic, when things have changed so drastically, maybe some of us have got more time to think and introspect. And this is the time one should start thinking that, what am I good at? What is it that I enjoy? And how can I project that skill set in my CV based on what relevant things I have done, right? So as students, I guess this is a homework that we must do. That what have I done? If Bobby, if I can take another minute and I'll share an example. During our master's program, the class was divided into groups for the practicals, and two of us were actually the leads who would plan the entire practical for the day. They were in charges for, so we were the lab in charges. They were in charges for autoclaving. They were in charges for plasticware, chemicalware, and multiple different. So the roles were segregated. I was the lab in charge. So I had to coordinate between all these different people and make sure that we have all the available resources. And that kind of activity really helped me gain not just negotiation skills, but also develop these leadership skills. Without my knowledge, I actually never put it out in my CV that I have this quality. It's only much later I realized, because no one ever spoke about it. But I guess today's generation is much different. They have much more exposure than what we had. So please do some introspection and figure out what skill sets you have. I'm sure you have a long list of skill sets with you. Only thing that's needed is that alignment.
Thank you, ma'am. In fact, I can relate to what you said because I also did my master's from and I was also the lab in charge. Okay. So we used to be one boy and one girl who used to be the lab in charge. And we used to decide the experiment. And then, as you said, we have the autoclave in charge who used to be in the autoclave room. And it used to be terribly hot. So I can relate to you.
Yes.
So yeah. Yes, it taught us a lot. MSU actually taught us a lot.
Exactly. And you have to make decisions at times whether, you can continue your experiments or you have to abandon it. We had to abandon our lysogenic experiment because the lab temperature, where the AC would never work, went up to 45 degrees because the burners were on across, right? We all were working between the burners. And finally, we had to abandon, put an halt to that experiment on the day of the exam, because we realized that we can't take out our viral samples out from the fridge. So these were the decisions, and that was a very critical decision at that point in time. So these were really important, and there's a lot of learning. I'm sure for all the students out there, there is learning at every step.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think Beatrice ma'am has a question. She's raised her hand. Ma'am, please post your question.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am Smita, for that wonderful lecture. And I'm sure our students have gained a lot. My question is, you had said that, marks may not be all that important and your skills are required. So students may come back and ask us, like generally we tell them, you do not score well, so do well. So how do we handle the situation now from this talk?
No. I guess that was not my intention at all. See, what I meant was that just assessing based on marks is not the right way. Marks, marks at the end of it tell you that how much you have understood, which indirectly tells that how much attentive you were in the class as a student, and how much you could assimilate and put it out in your answer sheet, right?
Yes.
And how much hard work have you done, how much you have studied or self-studied, or tried to gain that knowledge. So marks, that's one aspect. But if someone is just assessed based on marks, I feel that's not the right way. What is really important is also that alongside, as an educator, you also help students to develop these other skill sets, and tell them, if they are not self-aware about these, that you also tell them that you have this skill set, you can go into this particular career path. So as an educator, you also play the role of a mentor, and that's what is important. Just assessing students based on marks is something I am personally not ever in favor of, because I myself got teachers. Let me tell you, in my undergrad, I had some really wonderful teachers whom you could just go and talk about anything. We were always assessed based on marks, but then there were these few teachers who also spoke about various other aspects of life. And as students, we could connect with them because we felt that they are talking our language. And we can go, definitely, last 20 years when I was doing my undergrad versus now, maybe I did my undergrad much earlier. A lot of things have changed. Maybe the gap has changed, the thought process has changed, but it's a mutual relationship that's very beautiful, and if nurtured well, it stays on for life. So I'm sure students should not come back and ask you that why assessing only based on marks, or why saying marks are not good. I guess that's important in its own way, uh, to score well.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much.
We've got a question from Larissa. So she's asking, which would be the correct or preferred career path? Getting into the industry after MSc or getting into the industry after doing a PhD? Which one would be the correct or preferred path?
Very good question, I would say. And it's, again, I don't think anyone in the world will have the right answer for it. It depends which industrial path you want to get into, and what you are looking for yourself in long run. See, let me tell you, a PhD degree no doubt teaches you multiple skill sets that with an MSc, it would not come that naturally. Secondly, having a PhD degree really helps you grow up the ladder much quicker in an industrial setup, and any kind of industry. So those are important. But having said that, I know of many people who just had a master's degree, got into industries, and have done extremely well. It's just that they had multiple other skill sets, that zeal to succeed, that zeal to work hard, that zeal to be a continuous learner and evolve with time. And with time, these people have grown up the ladder, and at one point they started their own companies, and these companies are doing extremely well. So there is nothing right and wrong here, as I mentioned in the very beginning. It also depends a lot on yourself and your own skill sets, how you would perceive your career path. So with that, doing a PhD is something, should be a more of a personal decision. Let me share again here with you. For me, I was somewhere not sure whether I would become a researcher because my dad is a researcher, and I knew what path, and he's a very successful researcher, and I knew very well what path would lie ahead of me if I continue in research path. But I wanted to do PhD for the sheer joy of it because I wanted that degree and that experience. And I gained it. I was very clear that I want to do my PhD from IIC because I had done an internship when I was in grad school at IIC, and I simply fell in love with that whole atmosphere, that environment, the joys of being a PhD student on campus, and that's precisely why I did my PhD. So it should be a very, very personal decision. If you want to get into an industrial side of an R&D side of industry, always a PhD degree is helpful because that would give you more understanding of the field, that would give you more ability to analyze, put your data together, put manuscripts together, which would all come very handy later in the industrial role. And the growth path would be much, much quicker as compared to just joining post your master's degree. So I hope I have given answer to your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have a question from Dr. Wajid. So you could go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful talk. The question that I have is can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Normally, no, we have a lot of students, there are a set of students who would want to get into industry and want to do a lot of research oriented work, R&D section and all of that. There are also students who want to do a lot of the other work like computational biology, more of desk job and all of that. But what happens is for the students who want to do R&D section, point of time when they want to get into jobs, there might be no jobs available at that point of time. And then they would land up, doing all of the other works, which they might not be interested in. Now, I would want, it can be also the vice versa, the other way around. So I just want your sort of an opinion for the students as to when they face these sort of kind of a challenge, what would be better for them? Because if they don't take up the job again, financially, it might be draining them out. So
exactly.
What's your opinion about these sort of
what I would say is that take things as they come. At times, whatever I have spoken in my talk today might not work for you at that point in your life. It's also possible that you had done a lot of introspection, you had aligned your thoughts, you had aligned your career paths, that this is what I would want and this is what I think I would do best and gain that happiness. But it's possible that the circumstances would not help you achieve that. Under such circumstances, rather than getting disheartened, rather than not taking up that opportunity, my suggestion is that go for it. I've also done that in the past because every experience would teach you various other things. As long as you are focused and you remain clear that this is what I want, you never know that you start liking what you're doing or where you've got into. So being a little flexible and open to what you have in hand is also something one should be prepared for. I've said this multiple times earlier as well, that never feel disheartened because you didn't get a job that you wanted. It's possible a year later you will get that. It's possible that wherever you got into is something that you will start liking. Okay, so be open, be flexible, and take it as another learning curve in your life. Career journey is long. It's not that at 25 if you don't get something, things would just fall apart. No, it doesn't. As long as you remain committed, as long as you remain honest, as long as you know your goals and your values, I am sure that each one of you would do really, really well in whatever path you choose. So, Wajid, I would say that this is something that should be told to the students, not to get disheartened by what they have, but take it as a learning experience, because every experience would make them richer in some or the other form.
Thank you, ma'am. I have another question. Thank you for answering it really well. The other question, as we're all academicians, so we have a kind of a challenge before us. That is, the curriculum that we design now has to make a student kind of, job ready. But when it comes to doing that, it's not that easy, because you have diverse fields around you. Even for a microbiologist, there are plethora of opportunities. So as an academician, in the sense like you are a science student and all of that, so what do you think, like should we stay with whatever that we have a curriculum, or do we have to do a lot of tailoring of that curriculum to cater to all the diverse field that we come across?
See, I have a feeling, if I again look back, this is from my own experience, I would answer this question, Majid. If I look back, whatever I studied during my undergrad, postgrad, PhD, I don't think I'm applying directly any of those things in my job today. There's possibility that a lot of people would be applying. There's possibility. What is really, really important, and curriculum, I guess, is built after a lot of thought goes into it, even keeping into account that how do you make students career ready. But I really don't think that there can be any particular curriculum that would make a student perfectly fit for any career role. It's not the curriculum which would help. It's the other skill sets alongside imbibing that curriculum and understanding the concepts, applying those concepts really well in depending on what role you get into. That is what is really, really important. That how much student has understood that concept and how much the student can apply that concept in in the job role that he or she gets into later. That is very important. And so alongside teaching the curriculum, as an educator, you also, if you also tell them the application part, how do you apply and what are the other skill sets that's needed, that's where you are making a student more job ready. As long as you bring in alumni from your college back and give chance for that interaction to happen between the current students and the former students, they will also learn a lot. Students would learn a lot from your individual experiences as educators and what your learnings were. So these are various different ways. I really don't think you can ever design the best possible curriculum, but yes, if you integrate few of these points into the curriculum, it makes it more effective.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We've just got a question, so
yes,
if you could quickly answer that, because we are also running a little short of time.
So it is no, that's fine. I'm fine with the time.
It's from Aisari. She wants to ask you if you could elaborate on how one can improve our networking in the research field. Many a times we do not get responses from research scientists with whom we might be interested in working with. So what kind of skills should we incorporate to better our networking skills?
Very, very good question. We just had a webinar on this very topic on 30th of October. And I'm sure the recording is up there on our website now. And we also released a podcast on the science of networking a week before, end of October. So those two resources, you can definitely go and listen, Ishri. But my suggestion is that I'm not saying that the mails are not written correctly by students when they are applying for these internship positions. But many a times it also happens that the communication is so very generic that the researchers feel that it's just another email. It's also there that many times researchers don't pay attention to even the relevant ones. So issues are on both sides. Having said that, my suggestion would be that when you're writing an email to XYZ for, let's say, internship opportunities or research opportunities, do not just say that I want to work in your lab. give a reason that why do you want to work in his or her lab? What is it that you find very exciting in the research happening in the lab, and what you want to do in future, and how you think that the time spent in the lab, in that particular lab, would be very, very valuable and enriching in order to, reach your goals. So if it's made a little more specific, it becomes much more helpful. So keep your communication short, keep it concise, uh, keep it very comprehensive and very clear. So that is one step. Second, if there is an opportunity to attend, again, in today's time, those opportunities don't exist, that you can go to a conference or a meeting and meet people whom you want to. But whenever, I'm sure, I hope that time would come back pretty soon, but whenever that happens, do gather that courage and go and talk to people. And especially when you go and approach with the right questions, people are willing to answer to that question. And if you'll take my personal suggestion, if someone has not reverted back in spite of, even if it's a negative or a positive answer, if someone's just not replying, I really don't think that it's worth pursuing an internship in that lab. That's my personal take.
So much, ma'am.
Yeah.
For that. And I'm sure if others have many more questions, they can directly connect with you as you've provided your email ID and Twitter handle. So I would request all the other participants out there to get connected with ma'am, and she's a treasure trove of knowledge. She'll definitely help you out. Thank you so much, ma'am. And
Thank
with
you.
that, I would hand over the platform to Amanda. She would like to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to be here proposing the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank God for showering His graces for making this event a success. On behalf of the Microbiological Society of St. Joseph's College, Bangalore, I would like to extend my thanks and gratitude to Dr. Smita Jain for giving us an enlightening and enriching talk that will guide us for our future endeavors. I would like to thank the Rector, Father Swibert De Silva, SJ, our Principal, Father Dr. Victor Lobo, SJ, our Registrar, Dr. Melvin Colasso, and our Vice Principal, Dr. Rabai, for providing us with a platform to have such events. I wish to express my gratitude to our HOD, Dr. Beatrice Sequeira, and our PG coordinator, Dr. Poppy Datta, for their constant support and guidance, making this event feasible. I also extend my thanks to Ms. Ria Saha for introducing the speaker and coordinating the Q&A session. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the faculty of Microbiology Department, namely Dr. Vanita NM, Dr. Syed Wajid, Dr. Jyoti Williams, and Ms. Shalmili Kamath for their valuable contributions, making this event a memorable one. I would also like to acknowledge the tireless efforts of all the members of the Microbiological Society, and I'd like to extend my thanks to Sanchal and Samson for their technical support. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our audience, without whose presence this talk would have been meaningless. Thank you all for joining. Our session has now come to an end. Have a pleasant evening. I would now request Dr. Smita, faculty, and the office bearers to stay back so that we can capture this moment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Smita ma'am, for your talk, and we will definitely be in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you.